Good morning and good evening. Let us start. Let me share the screen. Hope screen is visible and I'm audible too. Okay.
Yes,
So yesterday we discussed about just a definition perspective. Like we discussed about like what is public static void main in the sense like in that we covered what are reserved words in the sense like what is a keyword basically. So what is the naming convention of that keyword that we discussed, and like what is a method we discussed. So how do we need to write basically like how can you say this is a method, what is the syntax that we discussed, what is the importance of main method we discussed, like without main method what happens, like how Java compiler will treat your program with or without main program, and like JVM, like what is the importance of JVM during the execution of the program that we discussed yesterday. Okay, so we discussed one more point is like what is the importance of parameters? What is the basically use? It is not mandatory that always a method should have input parameters. What is the definition of a method? Method is used to perform some operation. That operation either by taking the method parameters, input parameters, or without parameters also. It is not mandatory. It is purely depending upon the requirement, how we need to handle the methods. That is we discussed. And one of the written type we discussed as void. Void main, like public static void main. What does it mean by void? Void, the meaning of void is nothing. Method just perform the operation. That's it. It will not return anything. It just simply execute the operation, whatever we write in the method body. That we discussed yesterday. So this part we discussed. So now let us discuss what about this system.out.println. So now when you see here, right, when you see like this itself clearly and self-explanatory based on our knowledge, based on the knowledge yesterday, whatever we discussed. You see, right, the naming convention. So if you see here, if you observe here, so some of the concepts starts with uppercase. You see, right, class. So the first rule is the naming convention of any class is it should start with uppercase. Now, when we compare here, if you see, so S is also starts with uppercase. The meaning is we discussed this already. So the system is a class. System is a class available in java.lang package. Lang stands for language. Okay, system dot. What is it? What is it? Dot is one of the operator in Java. We can call it as a operator. What does it mean by operator? We'll discuss about that. But for now, you can consider this dot is nothing but member operator. So dot differentiates class and field. Okay, what does it mean by out? Out is a little like a pink font, right? The meaning of out is it is one of the static field. It's a variable, static field, we can say. Because class name dot field name. Okay, so class name. I'm just using class name here to call this system dot out. Now, again, you see, the behavior will be same here. This one, this one. So println. Println is again naming convention. This is a method which starts with lowercase. Okay, so this is a method. So system println is a method which can be used to display the message. Now, this whole thing is used to display the message to your output device, like standard output device. For us, our standard output device is our monitor. Okay, system dot output dot println. System is a class, dot is a member operator, out is a field. We can call it as a static field or a field also for now. So again, dot is a member operator. Now println, we can use even if you want to use, you can go ahead as a print also. Only the difference here is ln stands for line. Line. Once it displays the information, the cursor will automatically comes to that next line. That is stands for ln. Ln stands for next line. The cursor will start. Okay. So now let us move ahead for this. Variable. Okay, variable. So now we discussed about displaying the information, but we have not discussed about like how to store the information. So where do I need to store the information? So what is a variable? Variable meaning is memory location to store a data. Okay, variable is nothing but it's one kind of a location, memory location to store a data, to store a data. In the sense, like you can assume your home. In the sense, you have a multiple gadgets or multiple products which you need to align properly in your home. In the sense, how you align based on the size, based on the length, and based on the width, or based on the capacity. The same way, variable will be used here. It represents basically a memory location to store the data according to its type. According to its type. What does it mean by type here? We'll discuss. Okay, so what is a variable? Now you see, right? This is a variable. Now we can say, yeah, this is a variable. Now I can see this is a variable. Now this is not a variable. Basically, we can call this is not a variable. You see, right? Literals A, B, C. No, that is not correct. So now declare a variable. So I want to declare a variable. So declaring is nothing but you want to initiate, like what are you using here? Declaring. Yes, I am declaring now that I am going to use this variable for further operations. Okay, so declare a variable. This is a comment, single line comment I'm just using here, referring. So now you can just use A or X, anything. Okay, so now this is the one. So now, but how can we communicate? How can we communicate what type of variable this is? Simply returning A is not sufficient. Okay. So now one more thing I'll take. So now this is a declaring a variable, right? So let us store the variable here. So one point I mentioned here, I just declared a variable here, but we are not communicating here. We are not communicating what type of data you are going to store. Exactly what does that mean? You just simply mentioned it, but we don't know what does it mean exactly here. Okay. So now next step will be initialize. Initialize. Initialize a variable. The meaning of initializing a variable is store some value into the variable. So for example, store some value. So I'm taking the same variable a equal to 12. Yeah, somewhere. The meaning is initializing. Now you see, right? What does it mean by this left hand side will be always variable. So it has the data. Now what does it mean by this one? This is equal to, we can refer, but programmatically if you want to tell, this is nothing but assignment operator. One of the operator. This is assignment operator. What are we doing this right hand side? So this is a value. The meaning of this is, so you are storing some value to A, to one of the variable. Now you see, right? Store data. We are still here only. We have not moved here. So now half of the data we know, that is store data. Yes, I have stored some data in variable. Now let me just implement here. What happened? So because I'm ignoring, for now I'm ignoring this. I just store the data according to the definition of the variable. Now let me go here. Okay, let us use the same thing here. Now let me just go. So it says, yeah, declare a variable. Declare variable. So now A, I have given like this. Now you see it, font color changed. Let us just initialize. Initialize variable. Okay, initializing is nothing but store something. Let us store something. So 12. Now, what happens here? The font color is not comfort here. The font color, whatever the code it shows, right? It is not correct. Now place the cursor. Any ID? ID will help you here. So cannot resolve symbol A. The meaning is if you directly type like this A or any other cap literal. So now I'll just go with the T. Now it is right, it will be unrecognized. You need to convey to the IDE that there is some purpose. I'm using this, there is some purpose, but programmatically I need to represent here. Simply, if you mention the variable, it will not work. That's why if you divide it two ways, two parts. So what does it mean by variable? Variable is used to store the data. Done. But what type of data you are going to store? How are you conveying that? This type of data I am going to store. Please assign memory. Please assign memory. This type of a data, the same thing, right? So let me just take. So assume that like you bought like around 40 or 38 inches LED or a smart TV. So now directly blindly you don't go right in your home. So already there is a point in the sense, yes, I bought this. I mean, it needs some space. It needs this much of a memory in my home. So let's be fixed. Let me think and let me fix like what type of gadget or what type of data I am using. The same way we need to convey. We need to convey. The same thing it is expecting here. When you place the cursor, right, cannot resolve symbol. Understanding this warning, you can consider this is an error message or a warning message. Okay. So understanding this type of messages which provide or which use your IDE is equally important. Okay. So if you are able to understand, then only you can able to fix that. If you're not able to understand, then that might be a problem again. So always we need to understand like why IDE is giving, why IDE is all of a sudden changing the font. This is one font and this is one font. So now you place the cursor here, you will get to know. So now you see right, two errors we have. Yes, two errors we have. Now let me just go back. Now I'll just use according to the type, right? So we are saying according to the type. So now that's where your data type will come into the picture. Data type. So a variable is storing the data. One second. So anyone or one second. Okay, fine. So let me reshare. I'm resharing the screen again. Okay. So now according to its type, we are saying, right? So data type. What does it mean by data type? The type of the data we are conveying basically this type of data we are going to store here. What is the data type? Data type is nothing but the type of the data going to store or assign or allocate multiple wordings we can use going to store in a variable so now what type of a data, what does it mean by data here? First of all, the type of the data we can say. Okay, so let us dig into this. So now data I can say, right? So now this is one data which we already discussed. 12 is one data. If I want to perform some mathematical operations in terms of a decimal, so I want to identify so some kind of a foreign heat or a temperature or some kind of a measurements. So now basically whenever you're going to calculate, decimal values will come into the picture. So now 121.54. This is also example for data. Now you are going to apply, for example, you are applying some kind of a government related ID in the government website. So you are filling your details. So there will be a column basically areas of your interest or a hobbies or what is your qualification right now or what is your gender. Okay. So now this is one data. Okay, assume like ignore the syntaxes like whether that is a single quote, double quote, just ignore. Just try to understand what type of data basically. The type of the data meaning is what? Okay, this is one. So now we can represent like this also. This is also one type of a data. Now, if you want to wish somewhere or if you want to explain your name or explain your qualification, you want to fill your qualification, right? Yes, you can just fill your qualification. These are all the different types of data. Now you want to tell, are you staying or are you minor? Are you major? Or have you crossed 18 plus to use social media or to register any social media platform? So now true. So are you below 18 or above 18? False. So justification. Now if you see, right, so all are these we can represent. This is a data based on the requirement and based on the need we need to use, we need to store like this here. That's why we can say, so this is the one. So what is a variable? Is nothing but variable and data type are closely interrelated always. Is nothing but without variable I cannot use data type. Again, without data type, I cannot use variable also. Just now we have seen. Now, if you see, right, so cannot resolve symbol A. Now ignore it. So now let's say one of the data type we'll use. I'll just display how many data types are there. So let us just take int. So now this is a numerical value, right? Which does not have any decimal values. You can observe like this. What is the difference between these two? This is a normal number, which do not have any decimal values. But when you compare this, it is having some decimal values. Dot 54. 1 to 1 dot 54. There is a difference. Even though both are belongs to same family, meaning is a numerical or a number family, but there is a difference here. Okay. So one of the data type is integer. So the meaning of integer is int. Yesterday we discussed at one point. Int is one of the data type supported in Java, which can be used to store numerical values. Numerical values. 1 point. Now, int, second thing is int will not support the decimal values. Okay. So now let us just go back. So let us try to understand what is the importance of variable, what is the importance of data type. Now, just now we have seen only variable we discussed, right? Here, this is the one. So now if I remove, I don't want here a variable. Without variable, just I'm just going to data type now. I'll just use data type. That's it. Now, if I use data type, I don't see the red font, but still similar to your reserved word. But still there is some issue now. Two errors, still two errors. Now you see, right? Now what happens? Identifier expected. So the meaning is if you want to leverage or if you want to use variables, you need to represent what type of a variable or what type of a data you are going to store. So this is nothing but data types. What does it mean by data type? The type of the data going to store in a variable as per the requirement or as per the need. That's it. Now, when we go here, what are the different types of data types now? Okay, so different types of data. We discussed examples. Examples. This is the data. So, but what is the different types of data types supports or support in Java? Is like let me just write or let me just open directly. So now we can discuss more about this. Here, these are all the different data types supported by Java or supported in Java. So this is a Boolean. Okay. So default values is nothing but so once we have a concept called classes and objects. So constructor methods. When we reach that, right? I'll just explain this default value. The meaning of the default value and the advantage of the default value is it is not mandatory to store the value. For example, when I say store the value, what does it mean by storing the value? This is the one. So 12 I have stored in A. It is not mandatory. Okay. It is not mandatory. So what I will do? Int A. That's it. Meaning is if I will not store the value, what happens? Default value will store. So error, it won't give any error. Any error. So most of the experienced professionals will fail here only. So immediately they will say exception. Because int A, I'm printing A. Int A, I have not stored anything. When I'm printing A, which doesn't have any value, what might be the expected output? Most of the people will say exception, program will not work. So multiple results will get. So that's why like we can say the lacking of a knowledge or a lacking of a business basic things. Now these are the different data types. Come back to data types like Boolean data type. The meaning of Boolean is it stores either true or false, only two values. The default size internally allocate is 1 bit. So true or false. So character, now you see, right? It starts like a 2 bytes. If we consider any other programming language, character will store only one. So C++, other programming language, other than object-oriented programming languages, the default size for a character data type is only 1 byte. But in Java, so 2 bytes. Why is if you refer right, the meaning of is Unicode system. It supports Unicode. The meaning of Unicode is it's kind of a universal language. Java supports irrespective of your platform. That's why they have allocated 2 bytes. Character data type. Now again, character data type, how can you refer the character data type? How can you store the data? In character data type, always the value should start with single quotation. ends with single quotation. We'll see the example. You can just try to understand what are the different types of data type. Like byte, short, or belongs to integer family. Only the difference here is memory allocation. That's it. Other than that, so regularly we will not use byte short. So int family, integer we will take. So long, again, long also belong to integer family. So when I say integer family, right, it supports, you can consider that it supports numerical values, but not decimal values. Okay. So short, byte, long will become part of the integer family. If you observe, what is the difference here? Long and int. Now there is a prefix called L. L, value L. The meaning of L is nothing but you are communicating. You are communicating or you are informing to the compiler and your runtime system, allocate this variable and treat this variable as a long variable and allocate that much memory internally. So 8 bytes, you see, right? 8 bytes. Now float and double, both are used to, I mean, these are all one of the data types. The meaning of this and the difference between float, double and int is float is used to handle or support decimal values. Now the prefix again you need to convey F. Now double, yes, double is also used to store decimal values which ends with D, basically prefix. Now what is the difference here? One difference is the size. You see, right? Float is 4 bytes. Now double is 8 bytes. Other than that, do we have any difference? One difference we say. Now after decimal point, float can support up to seven precision points, we can say. So after dot, up to 7, it will support 7 digits. It will support. So double around 15, 14 to 15 values it will support after the dot. That is one of the difference here. Now come back to our program and let us try to understand here. So how to declare the values here. Or let me just try to add here only direct. Direct, let us just try to like this. We can just use here. Now if I want use int a equal to 10. Okay. So now already this we have discussed. Now let me just go and let me implement here only. Now int a equal to, so now int a, I declared here. So now you see, right, initialized a variable. So now one more variable I'm just going to declare here. So now instead of writing two steps here, right? So what I did, int a equal to 2, declare a variable, now store a variable. So storing a variable is nothing but initialize a variable. So can we do in a single step? Let us see. So declare initialize variable. Initialize variable. So now int int b equal to 24. Int b equal to 24. The meaning is either you can choose two ways, one, both are same. Only the difference is by following the single line, you are reducing one line. That's it. Other than that, there is nothing here. So this is how you can declare the variable. So what happens if I use, now let us not disturb that. So now let me just add here. So now one more variable I'm just going int c equal to 12.54. Now, what happens here? As per the definition, we discussed that the difference between int and float is int will support only numerical values, but not support the decimal values. But if you are giving with the decimal values, what happens when you place the cursor? Now you see, right? It is considering internally, system is considering. So you are going to store somehow double value. So double, you just cross check what type of data you are going to store. Please be confirm what type of a data you are going to store. So now this is not correct. This is not correct. Okay. So now if I want to declare, so let me just modify here. So now you remove this. Now let us just declare one more data type. Declare and initialize. So long variable. Again, all the data types are keywords first. Long variable. All the data types are keywords. Meaning is it starts with the lowercase and you see, right, there will be no difference. All are orange font. So now declare and initialize long variable. So long How to display? So now you see that long. Again, this is a keyword which can be used. So long c equal to So now I'll just go back to here. So 29. Now if I see here, so as per the hierarchy, suppose it to ends with L. But I'm not given any L here. But still I don't see any error. The meaning is it's purely optional. But the expectation here is if you are using L, use the prefix. Use the prefix so that memory will be allocated. Why? Because if you are not using L, the meaning is internally for this variable, right? So how much memory will be available for int, it will be allocated. It's a waste. It's a waste. If you are not sure which data type you want to use, then go ahead for int only. If you are sure, yes, I want to store some huge number of numerical data in long data type, then let us follow the notation. Let us follow the notation. So if I give L, I don't mind, in the sense I don't have any issue. So now even if I go L, I don't have any issue. So it is a warning symbol we can easily ignore. You see that ends with lowercase l. It is giving information. Long literal ends with lowercase l. L. This is how you need to represent L, and this is how the difference between int and long is like this. Now let us just move ahead. And one more data type we discussed here. Okay, so let us work on the decimal values. So float. So float variable. When I say float, so float is one of the data type. Okay. First, this is a reserved word, I mean keyword. After that, it is a value. So now D. D equal to, let us stick here. I don't want to pass any decimal values. Let us see 45 semicolon. Now you see, I don't see any compilation error. So we discussed as a difference we discussed. The difference between int and float is int will support numerical values, float will support decimal values. Okay. So what happen if I store int anyhow, it gives error. If I give decimal values, directly it gives error. But if I'm not passing any value here, float, I'm not giving anything here. Okay. So still I don't see any error. So now let us print and let us see till here. After that we'll extend. So how the values will print. Yeah, let me just print here. So I want to print the values. Okay, multiple ways we have. Let us take step by step because I need to consider non-tech background also. So now I want to print the value of A. Now I'm able to see 12. To me, I'm able to understand the value of A is 12. The same way, I want to convey to the system that please print the value of A. How to print the value of A? So now you can just read. So system.out.println, this is a method, right? Whatever you are going to write here, always the content should start with double quotes. The meaning of a double quote here is the meaning of double quote is more than one character you are going to store. The meaning of more than one character is string. Okay. So now let me just add. So for my understanding, what I'm doing, I just open double quotes. Okay. Double quotes, just double quotes. So now you can just give value of A is value of A is. I want to know what is the value of A is. You can just present in a better way. So after that, so what happens if I just pass A here without any issue? So I will just pass here. Now value of A is, I just pass because this one, I want to print this. So I want to print this. So what happened in double quotes? If I give, it will not consider. So I'll just show you two ways. I'll just show you. Now I'm just executing the same program. Okay. I'm just executing the same program. I don't see any compilation error here for now. Now you see the value of A is A because I have used A inside a string. Whenever you use like this, right? Always the system will understand this is a hard-coded data. Meaning is if when you change, then only the data will change. Meaning is this will change. Otherwise, if you execute this 10 times, 12 times, 15 times, this content will never change. It always keeps like that only. So, but here the expectation here is this statement should give 12. Meaning is value of A. What is the value of A here? when I see value of A is 12. So that is what I'm expecting here. Value of A is 12, not A. So how to represent that? You can close this. You can close this. Now let us see. So double quotes, yes. Now I got a clarity that what details I need to store in double quotes. Now let us keep here A. I'm just passing A. The meaning is A is, yes, A variable already 12 is there. So if I pass A, what happens? So now when I place a cursor again, red font came. Place a cursor. So it is expecting something here. IDE is saying somehow there is an issue with your statement. Just go and cross check here. Okay, I don't mind. Let me just execute. Execute. So what does it mean here? So IDE is giving. So brace, it is expecting to close this brace, but already this brace is open and this closes. This is also open. So somehow it is conveying us you can either keep A inside a string or you can remove that. If I remove that, this value will never print. But I want this value, that is my expected output. How to do that? How to do that? So now for that purpose, you need to concatenate. You need to concatenate. The meaning of this is two different data types you are discussing here. One is the content. Why this content is required? For a better understanding. For a better understanding in the output, it should represent in a clear way that if you read it, yes, I'm able to understand what does it mean by this output. Now, what does it mean by this A? A is an integer here. You see, right? A is an integer. Now, we should not, or it is not preferable to store other data type into string. If you add, it will consider as a string. Now, if I add here, right, it will not consider as a int value because whatever you write inside a string, right, that is one token we can say. Content, hard-coded token, that's it. Hard-coded content. Now, you see, right? So two different data types we have now. So what are we doing? String concatenating with integer. String concatenating with integer. Now let me run example here. Now let me run it. Now you see what happens? Value of A is 12. You got this is our expected output, right? But how you got this output? Now this is way. So concatenation operator will play a critical role whenever you are coordinating with two different types of a data. This is one type of a data for us. Now this is one type of a data. Let us go ahead continuously for rest of the details also. So system.out.println. So now value of B. Now value of C. Okay, value of D. Value of D. Okay, so now you can just change the value B. Okay, B you can use. Now C you can use. Now D you can use. Execute it. So now what happens? You can remove it. What is our expectation? Before executing, so if you are clear with the code, right, you only decide what is the expected output you are getting. So the expectation should be, so there is a B, right? So this should print. Now expectation here is 29, or let me just add some more anyhow long, right? 8 bytes. So 290. So float D 45. What this is what I'm expecting 45 without any error it will give. But we discussed about this float as a decimal values. Maybe it adds like this. It adds like this. Let us see what happens. Okay. So I have not counted the number of values, but let us see. So now this is integer. Now this is integer. So long and float. Now execute it. Now you see here. So what happens here? So this is clear. So these are all straightforward. Integer family. Whatever you print, it will come. This will never, even if you remove this, right? Even if you remove, you don't see from output perspective, you will not see any difference. I'll just show you executing this. Long, you just observe the C value. Now you see, right? So value wise, output wise, there is no difference between, if I talk the difference between int and long. Where you see the difference is memory allocation. For long 8 bytes, you can store a big value here. So int 4 bytes. That is the one difference. But it is good that if you are using long, you can use this. Now, second thing, now float. Let us come back here, float. So there is no exception. Good thing is we don't see any exception. As per the definition, if we go, there is no exception here. So it's the defaultly it added this value. Now what happens if I add here? Let me just keep here. Let me just add one more data. So float E. So now 57.88. I'll just give some value. Now, just observe here these 2 points. Okay. This is the same example which I have asked 5+ years of experience last week. The same example. Only the thing is like variable names are different, values are different. This is the same thing. They are the same thing. But they are unable to identify or then unable to explain what is the concept behind this. Okay. You see this, right? So why? Because if you go the definition, what is the definition of a float data type? It supports decimal values. In case one, we have not written decimal values. This is a pure integer, but we don't see any error here. Now come back. If I use here, so now this is as per the definition. If you see, right, what is the definition? Float data type supports decimal values. Now I have written decimal values. Decimal values always starts with the dot as a prefix. Now you can fill this. Still why you are getting the error? I got the answer is it will give the error. Like I got the answer from the interviewer. So 57.88. Now this is a exception. Exception. Which is not correct. Which is not correct. But this is here. If you see, right, ID is showing the different behavior here. Now remove this. Now basics are very important actually, even though now we are in too much of the basics, right? But this knowledge will give more confidence when you start building the enterprise applications. So now you see, right? So now D equal to 45. Now let me place the cursor. Why ID is giving the error? Now you see, required type is float. Yes, I required float because that's why I used float data type. Now, but ID is expecting double double. Why? What happened? Now, let me just move ahead. Let us just try to understand. Double. This is one of the data type. So double is F. Now let me just go here. 65.98. 98. So what is the difference here? What is the difference here? You see, right? Now, the same thing if I use, I don't see any red font, red line here. It supports easily. But when I use the same thing here, but IDE is not allowing me. The reason is you have ignored the prefix. Meaning is you have not followed the standard. You have not followed the standard. That is the rule. If you want to implement the float data type or if you want to use float data type, this is a rule. Okay, F should be defined. Now this is what JavaSoft has given. If you want to implement, we are providing some built-in concepts. You can follow the same steps. Like don't break the rules, at least for predefined values, built-in values. Use as it is. The same thing. Same thing we are using here. If you observe, same thing. Now let me just print the same thing here. Okay, value of D is done. Value of E. Now value of F. So now E you can print. Now F you can print. Now let us just try to identify here. Now execute this. Now you select, you're able to see the data here. You're able to see the data. Value is different. So now float double is done. Let us discuss about character. I want to display the value. I want to display the character. Now let us see here. So now int long float double. So char data type. So now when I go to that hierarchy, so char is the data type. Let us store char. So char, char. Okay. So now let us just best example for character is gender. Okay. So gender. So what happens? Now you see, right? So give the semicolon. The semicolon is nothing but end of your statement. The meaning is you are conveying this line, this is my end. I mean the statement end. So you can treat statement is done. Okay. So now you see, right? As per the hierarchy, it starts with single quotation here, single quotes. Now if I use single quotes, yes, single quote. Now what I will do? So MALE. I'm just going to write male. Okay. So what happens? So I followed the same thing because if you see the default value, it use single quotes. looks like backslash u 0000. I just see and I have implemented the same thing. Why is it giving error now? Again, red font. This red font causing a problem now. Now let us go and let us try to identify. Meaning is too many characters in character literal. This is very important for the freshers or who are looking for intern jobs. Okay. So now character gender. So the meaning is if you are using character, right? So not allowed to use more characters, even though it is in a single quote. Now let us say only one character at a time you can use here. Only one character. Only one character is allowed here. That's what the problem. Now you see the difference. What is the difference here? Character, how do we represent? Now what is the difference here with other data types to char data type? So character data type always should start with single quotation. So what if I will not use? Let me just go back here. Now three cases I'm just showing here. Okay. So now what if I will not use single quotes? Now three ways here. What happens? So now it is saying, so it is not a data type, first point. So your compiler or IDE is not at all considering this as a data type. If you are going like this, now this is clearly invalid, not following the rule, no rule. That's why this is error. Now we followed the rule here. We followed the rule here. So now as per rule. Now you see, right? Again, if you see gender, so more than one character. This is right. More than one character. So we can say not allowed. Not allowed. Now, even though you print this, let us see what compiler will return. So whether what type of message it will give, let us see here. So gender, right? So value of, yeah, this one. So we can just print this one. Hmm. Now you can just print this. Now let us just execute here. So what is the error it is showing? So now you can place here. So even you are at the bottom of the page, IDE will always highlight the issues from your source code. You place a line. I mean, this will help those who are using first time IntelliJ IDE or Eclipse IDE. When you place the cursor, there is some syntax error. So syntax error. So not following the standards here. So now when I say syntax error, compiler directly gives you the exception. Compile time exception. This is a compile time exception. You see, right? So unclosed character literal. It is giving message, but I don't know what does it mean by unclosed character literal. We have closed. We have opened the single quotation and we have closed this. Still we are getting. What is the line number? 27, 21. Yeah, 27. 27 line number we are getting this issue. Now by seeing this, we can consider this character. If you want to use char data type, allowed to use only one character. That's it. That's it. That is the one. Now let us just try to fix this. Then what I want to store? I don't want to go like single characters. I want to give some kind of a information. So now if you have a requirement to go with a group of characters, just go ahead with string. Just go ahead with the string. Now, if you are using string, two rules. Now you need to start with double quotes. Double quotes. Double quotes. Okay. So now I'm just going to remove this. Okay. Anyhow, we discussed this. So now let us just go back here. Yeah. Now you see, now what is the difference between string and character? Now you observe, right? There is one observation, clearly an important observation, especially in Java. So most of the people will forget or will confuse like whether string is a data type or a class. Two things I will justify here. Okay. So if you observe here, let me just expand. If you observe here, all the data types which we discussed, right, are in, we discussed these are all keywords and has orange font, long, float, double. Char also orange one. But you see, right? String is a white font. This is one observation that we cannot say string is a data type. Now, second observation. Now you see, right? So we discussed that all the keywords should start with lowercase, lowercase. Now the same way we followed lowercase here, lowercase, lowercase, lowercase. But we have started with uppercase here. Okay. So two observations. Now, okay. Now we are saying anyhow string. Now let's follow as per the other data types. Now go back here. Now keep this as lowercase. Now what happens here? Now this is also very important now. Now if I follow the same thing as per other data type, now it is giving some kind of a different font here. Now you see, right? Cannot resolve symbol directly. Cannot resolve symbol. Now what does it mean here? Anyhow, this one I have printed. Now let me just go back. This I will print. Okay, so now you just take this. Now you just take this. Now you can just print. Now again, like in code itself, we are getting the error. Error. So now place the cursor. Place the cursor. Now come back here. Place the cursor. Now you see, right? Here there is a problem. Now again, what type of exception you can expect here? When you run this, what type of exception? This is a compile time exception because compiler is easily identifying that you are not following the standard. Naming conventions are very important. Okay, so we'll discuss in upcoming sessions whether a string is a data type or class. So why we are writing string, it starts with uppercase, but why other data types are in orange font? Now, when you observe here, the same class we use it somewhere else also. You see, right? String here also we have used, here also we have used. Here we are saying string array parameter. Now here we are saying string data type or a string variable. Now you execute this. Now execute it. We don't have any compile time exceptions. So whatever the value, how you have stored more than one character, same thing it went without any issue. Okay. So one more variable, one more data type we have. Let me just go back here. Boolean. Okay. So Boolean, let us just go back with the status. Status is a variable. Gender is a variable. Now, these are all variable. Now you see it, data type, variable name, value. This is a syntax. Okay, this is a syntax. Now, type of the data type. Now, variable name. Okay, so equal to I can say equal to is an assignment operator or operator. So equal to value. This is a syntax basically. So if we all are comfort with the syntaxes, right, programming is very easy. Only the thing is somewhere we need to apply our logical based on the logical concepts we need to implement. But syntax will be always building blocks for any programming language you take. That's why syntaxes are always important. Now you go here, Boolean status. Now what I will do here is Boolean we are discussing. So now the default value is false. We discussed Boolean will store either true or false. Now what happens if I go here true? I don't see any error. Now you see it. True is also a keyword. We know we don't have any compilation error. It will work as it is. No issues. Now let me just print this. Now go back here. Status. Now execute this status. Status. Okay. So value of status. Execute it. Whatever you have stored, directly it will give. So true. True. You have used true. Now there will be a question here. Now, if you observe here, right? If you observe these things, this is a question, interview question also. Those who are preparing interview, I mean, this is a question. So if you observe, right? So right hand, we have not stored a value like others, like float, int, long. We have stored some content. That too, alphabets. If you consider this is alphabet, T, R, U is one of the alphabets, whether that is uppercase or lowercase, you ignore. These are, but we have not started like this. Whether that is, this is anyhow more than one character, right? Let me just go back with the string only as per the definition. So true, if I use what happened? What happened? So what happened? Now ID directly it is giving. So you have given Boolean as a data type, but storing the value as true, which is not at all acceptable, especially in Boolean cases. The meaning is the data type of Boolean supports only either true or false. Yeah, true we have seen. Let us see false. No issue. Execute it. You will get false. False. Okay, so what happens if I use, other than this, I'll just use test user. Other than true or false, whatever the data you give, right, it will be a compilation error in the Boolean. Very, very important concept, basically. Now you see, right? Compile time error. So the meaning is like we need, as a programmer, we need to judge by seeing the code itself, this program will work or not. If it will not work, what type of exception it will give? Who will handle? I mean, we need to challenge ourselves that Java compiler or your runtime environment. So no. So now let me just print 1, 2, 3. Now still it is giving error. So it will keep on. Either you store true or false. Other than that, it will not give. Other than that, it will not give. So the meaning here is, if you want to implement the data types, you need to follow the rules. You need to follow the rules according to their standards. Okay. Any queries about main method, about variable, or about any of the data types? We'll discuss this. I mean, this is very big concept. We'll discuss at least 1 hour it will take for me. So we'll discuss this later. But this difference is important for you in terms of data types. What knowledge you need to take it up? One is reserved words, like how data types are important. Now, how data types we need to write. Second thing, and like what is the difference of the data representation? We have discussed what are the different types of data, but how are we representing in the programmatically, double quotes, single quotes, or without quotes? Like what is true, what is false? Those things are very important to take it as a knowledge from this session. Yeah.
So here, for double, we don't need to give D like
Right.
we are
Yeah, yeah.
giving.
Not required. Not required. So even if I give here, right, compiler, your IDE will simply ignore. That's the difference here. So if you remove here, right, F, that's why it is giving the error. Now if you see here, right, so your IDE is, you have not given any prefix here. So if I place the cursor, no, so it is giving, you provided double because you have not used any prefix. So if you want to be specific, you need to give. But to answer your query, for double, we don't require any prefix at the end of the value.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need to initialize all the time the primitive variables?
Not really, not required. Not required. You can declare and you can leave it based on the need you can take. Or declaration is also not important really. So again, like values is nothing but like this is a standalone application where we are doing everything. But like when we are thinking about any web application, right, we store only values in one particular repository or a location, and we use that same values across the different classes. It is not mandatory. If you want to use the value to be represent to perform some calculation, this is a value I am getting from some kind of a repository. So when I say repository, either from database or from Excel file or from CSV or your properties file, somewhere, if you want to use that, then you can use that way also.
So at the time, we no need to follow that suffix F and D, right? It's automatically based on the data type.
Yeah.
It will convert.
Yes, it will convert. Yeah.
Okay.
We have one of the operator. I will just discuss in upcoming sessions. So I don't want some of the things, but I want to leverage as per the need, then we can use that.
Deno, what's the Unicode in CAR data type?
Unicode is a universal code. Universal, the meaning of U here is universal code. The meaning is, so when they have started this Java programming language and they have introduced it, as I mentioned in the first demo also, they have given in the conference, right? They are saying this Java programming language will support whatever the language is supported by the world. In the sense, it is not only a English like a language. Now we are discussing on the English, right? So you assume that Japanese or in other languages also it will support. That's why they have used 2 bytes and they conveyed that we are starting or we have introduced one Unicode encoding standard format that this Java you can use in any language. Like when I say language, that is not a programming language, the human based language. Unicode, universal code. Usually we follow universal code as English only everywhere, but it support other languages also. Okay, so till now we are sharing only recording sessions. I hope my team already shared that. So material I have not started yet. So yet to figure out about this one related with this course and all. So once registration, everything is done. So I hope like anyhow, like today is the last demo class. I hope from next time, whenever we meet, right? So it starts like post session. I will share as per Naushad's demo also yesterday. Source code we will upload in the portal. So you can use and you can practice that first. After that, you can implement your own logic. That's how you can learn the programming language if you are beginner or coming to upgrade to Java from other platform. Material will share recording session. Yeah, this recording session will be available to you along with assignments and source code. The source code will be a reference to you. What are the standards I need to follow, like to implement the assignment? That's like you can help yourself. Any other queries? If you have, like, we can take 2 more minutes, or if we don't have, we are clear with the course content and we are okay, then we're good to close this for today.
Yeah. To the new students, guys, Naushad here. To the new students, Nalini and Mohan. Mohan, is this your first class?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So if you have any queries regarding the platform or the service, you can raise your questions now. Even technical queries can be asked, right? So since this is your first class, we'll also be providing you the demos. And once you register for the course, we'll share you the credentials to log into our platform so that you can attend classes and go through the recordings. So please
Sure,
text me on WhatsApp. I will give brief demonstration later. Let's have a conversation. If you have any queries, my WhatsApp number is available in the chat section.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you have any queries, just text me out on WhatsApp.
Yeah, sure.
I think Nalini, you have all the information. Still, if you have any queries, you can reach me out, right? So other students all are registered. So our next class will be on Monday, guys. On Monday for registered students, we'll have a discussion with the team and update you how we'll be proceeding with this class, right? So if you have no technical queries, you are free to leave. If you have any other queries, just raise in the chat section or unmute yourself.
How would be the schedule? Would it be the same time?
Yeah, this is what we are planning for. Monday to Thursday, 6:30 p.m. EST to 7:30 p.m. EST is the standard time that we were planning for. But we also have another timing in mind, that is to conduct classes on Friday and Saturday, 2 hours of classes on Friday and Saturday, and use the other weekdays for mock tests, assignments, and mock interviews, to conduct mock interviews with students. So this is also a plan that we have in mind, but still it depends on the class and the registered students that are gonna vote for. So yes, this will be the standard time for now, Monday to Thursday, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. EST. As we progress in the class, based on student feedback, we want to conduct 2 hours of sessions on Friday and Saturday, right? Total 4 hours. And then on weekdays, we want to conduct mock interviews and all. So let's see how students will vote for it. Yeah, but this is the format that we have for now. Recordings will be uploaded after a few hours of after the class, right? So after live class, within 4 or 5 hours, we will be uploading the recording, source material, everything to the platform. So you can log in and go through the recording as well if you miss the class anytime.
And as per the recording, would it be kind of whenever, after the course as well, would we
Yeah,
be able to view
yeah,
the recording?
yes, the recordings will be available for your lifetime. So yeah, there is no limit for the duration for accessing the recordings, right? So it will be available on your platform, on your dashboard for lifetime. So we will be providing credentials. You can use them anytime, even after the course period. We still have students from batch one who attended our classes 1.5 year, 2 years back, still using our recordings even for today. So yeah, recordings will be available for life.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And I hope you are aware of the fees. The fee is $250 or 22,500 Indian rupees. And we expect you to pay the first half of the fee to register for the course. And first half of the fee is 11,500 INR or 125 US dollars. The details are shared in the chat section, how to pay and all. So I hope you can see that in the chat section, right? Mohan, any confusion over there?
I've taken a look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, got it. So that's all about the fee. And if you have any other queries, you can ask. Or else
Yeah,
you're free to
sure.
leave, guys. Yeah. And for registered students, I'll soon be getting in contact with you. Just have some patience because we were actually looking for a bigger batch for this session because currently we are having around 10 students showing interest to join the course. Earlier we used to have 20 and 30, so I'm just rooting more on students. So by next Monday we'll get on more students, and yeah, I'll contact you soon. Registered students like Karthik, Govardhan, and Madhavi, I will contact you soon. You will soon receive the credentials and all, and even access to the platform. So just sorry for the delay, and have patience with me. I'll soon get in touch with you. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining today.